Behold how good it is to be together, all of us together, those who are here in person, those who are here with us online. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Michael Feshbach.
I'm temporary cantorial
soloist.
I'm good with the singing, apparently, not with the words. Cantorial soloist Talia Feshbach.
It's a misnomer of a name anyway, because soloist implies you're singing alone, and the whole goal is for everyone to sing together. So we just, in any event, I will have some other announcements later during the announcements about upcoming services during the month of June and perhaps beyond. But Shabbat Shalom. We open tonight on the handout, the service sheet, the Ken Chasen setting of Psalm 95, Lachuna Ranana. This is the same setting we will be using our services next week, so please memorize it. Please practice. Lachuna Ranana, let us sing out to God.
Lachuna Ranana.
Sing out to
Psalm 97, the bottom of page 132 in Hebrew, the translation is on page 133. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. Or zarua latzadik u'lishrei lev simcha. If those words are difficult, hang in there. We repeat them a few times.
Or zarua latzadik u'lishrei lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik u'lishrei lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik u'lishrei lev simcha. U'lishrei lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik u'lishrei lev simcha. U'lishrei lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik u'lishrei lev simcha. Or zarua latzadik u'lishrei lev simcha.
From Psalm 99, on page 135, the last paragraph in Hebrew, the words mean, exalt Adonai our God. You know that word. You remember the former mayor of Chicago? Emmanuel was his last name. What was his first name? Ram. Ram means to lift up. If you say something softly in an Israeli classroom, the students will all shout out, Od Pam, Bakol Ram. Say it again in an elevated voice. Romamu, therefore, means exalt. Let us lift up Adonai our God. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu.
Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachvu l'har kodsho. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachvu l'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachvu l'har kodsho. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu ve'nishtachvu l'har kodsho.
Lachadodi, pages 138 and 139, stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9. And as is the custom, we rise, we face the door for, not yet, I'm sorry. For stanza 9. It was a little bit of early ovation here. So when we reach stanza 9, we rise symbolically to let the Shabbat bride into our spirits, into our midst, and just checking. But tonight we will jump almost immediately to Chetzi Kaddish. So after Lachadodi, we turn, we face each other, but remain standing. And just to let you know. So Lachadodi, page 138 and 139.
Lachadodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lachadodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Kabbalat. La 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 la. Lachadodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Kabbalat. Shabbat Kabbalat. Shamor v'zachor
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לה 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 לך דודי לקראת קלה פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה פני פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי כי בעורק קומי אורי אורי שיר דברי כדור אדוני עלייך בגלל לה 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 לך דודי לקראת קלה פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה פני פני שבת נקבלה. אוי בשלום עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, טוב וביום סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לה 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 לך דודי לקראת קלה פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה פני פני שבת נקבלה. The bottom paragraph of 145, together in English, and then we turn to 144 and turn east once again for Chatzi Kaddish. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without His presence. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועמד יברח חירותי וינמיך מלכותי, וחיי הונו יום אחד, ובחיי תבוא בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, וימרו אמן. שמי רב מבורך, והעולם יחמיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, יתמעט ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמנו קדושה וירבו, נעלם מכל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבתה ונחמתה, תמיד בעלמא, וימרו אמן. Page 146. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Remain standing but face each other, the English on the top of 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Amari, Amari. Page 150. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chugim u'mishpatim, Page 157 on the top. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught forever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt,
that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Michamocha, page 158. Then back to 162 for Vashamra. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time.
Shabbat.
depended on God, act as if everything depended on you. The Amidah, the Tefillah, page 164. We rise and we face east. Please be seated. The top of page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Lecha Naed Laodot.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha
page 180. Page 371. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah Yivarech Vayirapeh Tacholim Ha'ela. O God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, send your blessing and healing, your comfort and hope to all those whose names we are about to mention, both the names I will share and those you will share in a minute, all those who are isolated and alone, all those who are in need of healing. We mention at this time Cynthia Baylor, David Wetzel, Sonia Kaplan, Rabbi Bradley Bliefeld, Jill Wood, Dr. Larry Wright. Are there any other names in the prayer for healing? Any others of those who are ill and in need of our attention?
Martin Smith, Laura Smith.
Kevin Kennedy.
Sam Goldwasser.
Ray Mensch, Judy Mensch, Carol Cameron.
Lana Samuels.
Julie McAtee, Laura Suzuka. Carolyn Bassett. Gordon Barry, Joan Susan. Betty and John Chang. Sarah Montflower.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofei Cholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us heal, who brings us comfort.
Mishle
Do you have any idea why I switched books with you in the middle of the one of the prayers?
Is it because this one is the thicker one and that one's the Shabbat one?
The other way
Other way
around.
around. This
Or
one's the
as
Shabbat one,
Susan
that's
so
the thicker one.
beautifully calls it, one is the thin one and the other is the fat one, right? We need the fat one. We need the larger book this coming Wednesday morning for Shavuot services, which include the festival Psalms of Hallel and the prayers of Yizkor. Those are not in the slim version. By the way, the conservative movement's prayer book used to be called Sim Shalom, and it also had a version that was large that included festivals and holidays, and a different one for just Shabbat. And in the conservative movement, the one that was just Shabbat, they called Slim Shalom. So this is you have in front of you, most of you, the slim version. But the prayer I want right now is in the middle. My favorite prayer in this entire Siddur, this entire prayer book, comes from the festival service. So we will recite it again on Wednesday morning. Now, Susan, I'm sorry to report this, that when you announced that you were going to Italy, which she and Michael are doing tomorrow, I've never seen it happen that people come up and hand you dollar bills. But if you are in certain settings in the Jewish world and you announce that you are going somewhere, people will just take out their wallet and hand you a dollar bill. What is going on?
Take it to your farthest distance.
What is going on? Yes?
To give it to charity once you arrive for tzedakah once you arrive in your destination.
Only one place that people do this for, though,
Israel.
and that is Israel. In traveling to Israel, and because I have turned a person by giving them that dollar bill and saying, give this to tzedakah when you get there, I've turned them into an emissary performing a mitzvah, a shaliach mitzvah, which supposedly lends extra divine safety and protection. If you want extra divine safety and protection for your trip, I'll give you $1, you donate the trip, even in Italy.
Maybe you should give one to Steve.
I already did, and that's the whole purpose of this. So Stephen Katz, if you will please join me right here for my favorite prayer in this entire prayer book. If you will read it with me, Stephen is about to go to Israel not only to do good work there, but also to give my dollar bill away, I hope.
I hope so too.
So, read this with me. One does not travel to Jerusalem, one returns, one ascends, the road taken by generations, the path of longing on the way to redemption. One brings rucksacks stuffed with memories to each mountain and each hill. In the cobbled white alleyways, one offers a blessing for memories of the past which have been renewed. One does not travel to Jerusalem, one returns. May you return to Israel in peace. May you return to us in peace. May there be a ceasefire and the hostages released while you're there, or just even sooner. And may you travel safely. And thank you, and blessings on your journey. Would you like the fat book back?
Fine. You give $1 and not a shekel? I know you have shekels.
I don't have access to my shekels. It would have to be more than one shekel to make up
Like
for
for
the
$1, yeah.
Do you know what the single most controversial skit in the history of Saturday Night Live was?
Yes.
Besides Julie.
Put up that telly.
What was the single most controversial skit in the history of Saturday Night Live?
Rosanna Dance.
Close, but no cigar.
John Belushi doing a circumcision in the back of the Lincoln.
You know, that was very good. It was Samurai Moyo, right? That was a great, and a great skit, right? I'm glad you have good memories. In fact, it was from the early days of the show when Tom Hanks was on, and Tom Hanks and Al Franken, this is the late 70s, and Tom Hanks and Al Franken. You know, it's hard for us to imagine this now, but some of you, I'm really not, but some of you may be old enough to remember that Jews in Hollywood and on the small screen hid their identity for a very long time. There were Jews involved, but they didn't deal with Jewish themes. They didn't have Jewish characters. In fact, there was not that many Jewish actors and actresses playing. So when Tom Hanks and Al Franken on Saturday Night Live did a game show called Jew, Not a Jew, this prompted more of a fierce reaction than any other skit before in the relatively young Saturday Night Live or since. It was the most controversial skit in the history of Saturday Night Live. Somehow, I have inherited an affinity for that game show. So, as Talia can tell you, if somebody, nothing remotely relevant, but she's Jewish, right? So let's start with a few. Daniel Radcliffe.
Jewish.
Harrison Ford.
Jewish.
Scarlett Johansson. Mila Kunis.
Jewish.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Jewish.
Right? Others?
Those were the easy ones.
Those were the easy ones. Others?
Jerry Seinfeld.
What?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban. I did not know that one.
You did it?
You must be Sephardic with a name like Cuban. Right? Yes.
Peter Lorre.
Peter Lorre. Did not know that one.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. Really Jewish.
Edward G. Robinson, John Garfield.
I did not know both of those. Okay. What about CNN anchors?
I'm blanking the name Spartacus.
Yeah, I know knew his cousin actually. Danilovich is the original family name, and I knew Russian Daniloviches who got out of Russia much later than the Douglas family did. When I was in Buffalo, I met the Danilovich clan and said, "Oh yeah, Kirk Douglas is my first cousin."
Wolf Blitzer.
All right, CNN anchors: Wolf Blitzer,
Jake Tapper.
Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, Gloria Borger, not just anchors, right? I swear Caitlin is going to be Jewish one of these days, right? She's like, did you hear the sympathy she had for the hostages, which after that, she's getting her Jew on, right? But now, Anderson Cooper, honorary.
He used a lot of Yiddish.
He uses a lot of Yiddish.
You can tell.
So now, I want to talk about this week's Torah portion, which opens the book of Numbers with a lot of lists, and it talks about different social and leadership institutions of ancient Israel. And in honor of that portion, I want to speak to you about politics, but don't worry, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to talk about lists and also institutions. So, two ways to describe the head of a country. There are only 10 of these, so please share. There's only 10, so please share. There are two ways to describe the head of a country. One is the head of state, and the other is the head of government. What is the head of government?
Very small.
What is the difference between a head of state and a head of government? And why don't Americans know it?
Was one ceremonial and one ceremonial.
Well, we'll circle back, but first, why don't Americans know it? Because in our country there is no distinction. The head of state and the head of government are the same person. That is not the case in most places. The head of state in Great Britain is the king. It's so weird to say that still. The head of government is the prime minister, right? Israel has a president who's technically the head of state and who has one powerful political role, but otherwise the leader of the country is the prime minister as the head of government. So in what I am distributing to you here, we have both heads of state and heads of government. we're going to start out with this question of Jew, not a Jew, but we don't have to go back to the year 1027 as this list really begins with. We can even skip ahead beyond 1566 and jump all the way to our current presidential candidate's living memory from when they were born, say 1899. Or maybe even back a little bit to 1868. But what you have here is a list of Jewish heads of state or heads of government. Is this list longer than you thought it would be?
Much, yes.
Much. So let's make it shorter and take out Israel. Right? It lists every prime minister and president of Israel. That one's easy. Right? However, let's look through it for things that jump. First of all, Prime Minister of France. Do you know how many Prime Ministers of France have been Jewish? Like 6 or 8, a lot. Prime Minister of Italy, at one point I think 3 in a row. Let's look through the list and then you can tell me why I'm sharing all this with you today. Well, let's do that now. Why am I sharing all this with you today?
President of Mexico.
Because the President of Mexico, atheist parents, but both Jewish, and she didn't talk about her identity that much, probably because it's an asset in Mexican society, culture, and politics to talk about how far back your roots go in Mexico. And her grandparents were immigrant refugees from Nazi Germany. So it's either ideology, that she's not that connected with the community, or she didn't want to emphasize it, but there is no question whatsoever that she is Jewish. She did thank Jesus in her speech, accepting the results. However, Jesus is the name of her husband. Seriously. So that is not a disqualification from our category here. What? He's also Jewish? Well, yeah, that's a different. I am speaking at a church this Sunday morning. That is a different discussion, right? Please join us at 10 o'clock at the Margate Community Church. So, Benjamin Disraeli. That's an interesting one. Benjamin Disraeli did convert to Christianity for the sole purpose of holding office, because there were still laws against Jews holding office. Reportedly, Queen Victoria asked him a question. Which are you, Disraeli, Old Testament or New? And he is reputed to have said, Your Majesty, I am the blank page in between. So let's go on. Premier of New Zealand, I did not know that. South Australia, Governor of the Gold Coast, Governor of Hong Kong, and Governor of Natal, all 3 in Matthew Nathan. Let's keep going. Here are the first of 3 prime ministers of Italy in a row.
What year?
1905, 1906, and 1910. 3 Jewish prime ministers of Italy in a row. I did not know. See, when you're going to Italy now, you can say, did you know that you had 3 Jewish prime ministers in a row? We continue. There are some countries here that I'm very surprised about. Certain leaders in Russia. By the way, I think the current prime minister of Russia is Jewish. The current president of Ukraine is Jewish. The immediate past prime minister of Ukraine is Jewish. Leon Blum, I'm looking at 1936, was the first French Jewish prime minister that I knew about, but there are many more on the list coming up. So in playing the game of Jew, not a Jew, in terms of Jewish heads of state, the results of the recent election in Mexico are not an anomaly in the world. It remains not true that we control the world. If we did, I wasn't invited to the meeting. So, this is a powerful and interesting list, and I can make more copies if anybody's interested, but you can just Google this. This came from Wikipedia, Jewish heads of state, which gives you Jewish heads of state and heads of government. So,
Question?
yes.
Because when they were gonna make the state of Israel, then Uganda came into this, and I'm seeing here that, a British Jew was, governor of Uganda,
What year?
1952.
So that was not, the discussion about Uganda as a possible solution, in which case we would now have the Israeli-Ugandan crisis instead of the Israeli-Palestinian crisis. But that proposal, which Herzl thought about for a little while, was in the 1880s and 1890s. So that was much, much earlier. But eventually we took over Uganda, it looks like. So I did not know that.
Well,
Idi Amin claimed descent from the kings of Judah. He was both anti-Semitic and philo-Semitic at the same time, which is a very interesting trick.
What's interesting is in France, with the Dreyfus affair, and then all of a sudden you got 1920.
It's really remarkable how many prime ministers of France there are, Jewish prime ministers of France. I was shocked
It's amazing.
when I looked at this. I just did this to look up to see how unique Claudia, how do you pronounce her last name? Shine.
Scheinbaum?
But she's not practicing, she's anti-Israel, she's pro-Palestinian.
Ah.
I've seen pictures of her wearing a keffiyeh. Why would we want to even claim her?
She's still Jewish. Maybe something. What?
In name only, she never practiced Judaism, she's totally not Jewish.
The whole question of Jewish identity is a very complicated one, where we can discuss another time. But when I had lunch the other day with the wonderful minister of the Margate Community Church, Vicky, who many of you know, because she was our organist, our accompanist here, back in the Beth Israel building, in the Atlantic City building. And then she was the organist, the accompanist, before she became a minister, for Emet Shalom. But we discussed this issue of Jewish identity and sort of, is it better to, what does it mean and how do we count Jews who don't believe in God and don't practice? But from the point of view of Jewish demography, from the point of view of anti-Semites, from the point of view of Hitler, from the point of view of going to Israel, they are Jews. These are Jews, and so what's the point in? I guess the point in claiming her is so next time Saturday Night Live does this skit, I'll be able to push the button and say, President of Mexico. So Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 570. And we return to the Ark. As we open the Ark, page 570. Come on over. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'zuntai al smirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom arba'im v'sheish yom shehem shisha shavuot v'arba yamim la'omer. Today is the 46th day, which is 6 weeks, 4 days of the Omer, which means that Shavuot is coming soon. Aleinu, page 586.
Aleinu v'shaveh l'adon ha'kol, l'ateitu l'Omer Ser Breshit, shelo asanu
call up our president, Linda Karp, for announcements. Following her announcements, I have a couple of additional ones. I did, I sort of.
I wasn't sure he knew where I went, because I was sitting over there. Shabbat Shalom to everybody that is here, and to those that are watching from home. I must thank Talia for assisting your father this evening. Thank you for your beautiful voice and for helping us with the music. Following services, please join us for candles and kiddush in the Weiss lobby. And tomorrow morning, there will be Shabbat morning study at 9:15 in the Cohen Library. This Sunday, Rabbi has already mentioned, but he may say something else. He will be at the Margate Community Church as a guest speaker at 10 o'clock. And so you are all invited to join him there. That's this Sunday. Also, please join Rabbi for Erev Shavuot services on this Tuesday, June the 11th at 7:30 in the Cohen Library, followed by cheesecake. But you're supposed to be here for the service, not the cheesecake.
It's a study session, not
It's a study session.
not a service.
Yes, my notes say that, but you sit corrected. Thank you. Okay. And there will be festive morning services, right, on Wednesday, June the 12th at 10:30 here in the chapel. Our J Place book group will be meeting on Wednesday, June the 26th at 1 o'clock in the Cohen Library. The selection is Cantica by Elizabeth Graver. And as I always announce, you are welcome to attend the book club, even if you have not read the book. On Friday, July the 12th at 5:30, please join Rabbi and Julie at their home for Shabbat services, followed by a potluck dinner. It is a dairy dinner, so if you would like to come, please call the temple office, let the temple know. And if you have any questions about what you need to bring or not bring, we'll be happy to answer for you. Again, that is not until July the 12th. And there will be 2 beach services, just to put them on your calendar. One is July the 19th, and one is August the 23rd. They're always at 5:30 at the Huntington Avenue Beach in Margate. I also was going to mention that I was just going to be quiet about who it was, that we had some members that were traveling to Europe. I didn't know if they wanted everyone to know, but it seems that we do know. So to you going to Israel, to Susan and Michael headed off to Italy. I want to say something that my Aunt Muriel always said to me whenever I was traveling. I may not say it correctly, so if any of you know Yiddish, please correct me, but she always would say, I think, Kim gesund and geh gesund. Go in peace and return in peace.
It's the opposite.
Geh gesund. Thank you. That's why I said I needed help on it, but whatever. You should have a fabulous trip and go in peace and return in peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Aren't there other people in the congregation going to European countries that begin with an I this year?
With an I, Italy.
No?
With an I, Israel.
No?
Indonesia.
No? You?
Oh, me! He's right. Iceland, but not to the end of the month. You're right on that one. Oh my goodness, thank you.
We are, it is deeply powerful and meaningful for me to stand on the bima with Talia. To those of you who don't know, that originated when I moved to St. Thomas. When she was in 11th grade, she moved with us. I sang the service for the first week. By the second week, she volunteered. By the third week, she had been hired as cantorial soloist, so we are familiar with this role with each other, but we are in between musical leadership, and for the next 2 weeks, we have something which I want to tell you about now. We have not put this in writing, and I am aware that we are streaming, but we decided earlier that we are going to announce. Next Friday night, I will be joined here in this room, borrowing Tom Adams's, our accompanist who's here, keyboard, will be Cantor Marshall Portnoy, the Cantor Emeritus of Mainline Reform. You actually know some of his music because Reform synagogues have been using his music for quite some time. He will be here with us next week. He is also bringing his daughter, Julie Simon, with him, who will help with 3 of the 18 pieces of music for next week's service. So please join us. We are in discussions with him about continuing on, traveling from Philadelphia beyond that. On June 21st, we are welcoming back to our congregation a woman who some of you may remember, named Deborah. Now, her last name may have been Fox at the time, but her last name now is Waldorf. She lives in the Vineland area and is going to be with us on June 21st. We don't know what is going to work out from this combination, but it may in fact, we'll see, be a combination of them. But please join us for the next several Friday nights. I mean, of course, every Friday night you should be here because that's just where you should be. But please join us especially for these next 2 Friday nights when we have these guest cantors or cantorial soloists joining us as well. As is the custom of our congregation, should you choose to do so, should you feel comfortable doing so, we ask that you rise as we call the name of a loved one so that we may know that you are here in mourning and memory. Then we will, as is the tradition in most Reform synagogues, rise as a congregation as a whole for Kaddish Yatom, for the mourner's Kaddish prayer itself. Page 595.
There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. No long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember.
We remember Bertha Abraham, Morris Eskowitz, Marcus Bacharach, Rebecca Bowdy, Manuel Bernson, Norma Bogdanov, Harry Cohen, Carrie Naumberg Cohen, Betty Cohen, Charles Dix, Norman Fox, Sophie Frank, Samuel Friedman, the Honorable Herbert Horn, Levi Jacob, Morris Littau, Ruth Mayer, Harry Miller, Fanny Rabinowitz, Lillian Raskin Kupperman, Arlene Rosenberg, Sadie Rosenblatt, Haiti Sachs, Marcia Sadorf, Dr. Joseph Schwartz, John Seymour, Lillian Sokolsky, Lucille Stern, Katie Stoloff, George Weisfeld. During this period of Shloshim, the 30 days following their deaths, Walter Craig, Dante de Castro. Is there anyone else here to say Kaddish for someone whose name I did not mention or any of the names I may have mispronounced? Memories of all of our loved ones are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn now to Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, page 598, and we rise as a congregation. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei uvyomechon u'b'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'aralal u'bizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'rach le'olam olmei almayim, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei kedusha rechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'alman v'imru, amen. Yehi shalom rabba yishamayim, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of shalom be Ramav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol ve'tevel, v'imru. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn in this congregation, and comfort all the bereaved among us and wherever they may be, all those who are suffering the pain of loss everywhere, and together let us say, Amen. Please join us for Kiddush, Motzi, and candles. In a moment, we conclude with the singing of Adon Olam, page 625.
Adon Olam, Hashem b'terem kol, Yisir nivra, le'et nasa, v'chefso kol, azay melech, shemo nivra, ve'acharei kivot hakol, levado, ilot nora, ve'hu haya, ve'hu hoveh, ve'hu yeh betifara. Adon olam Hashem alach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'et nasa v'chefso kol, azay melech shemo nikra, ve'acharei kivlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh, ve'hu yeh betifara. Adon olam Hashem alach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'et nasa v'chefso kol, azay melech shemo nikra, ve'acharei kivlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh, betifara, ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh, betifara. Adon olam Hashem alach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'et nasa v'chefso kol, azay melech shemo nikra, ve'acharei kivlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh, ve'hu yeh betifara. Adon olam Hashem alach b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'et nasa v'chefso kol, azay melech shemo nikra, ve'acharei kivlot hakol, levado yimloch nora, ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh, betifara, ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh, betifara.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
You are a musician.
Right, yes, that's exit here, one name.